Good evening. Hello, everybody. It's 5:29. That's it. Hallelujah light. This chapter got a lot of messages. What to do when nothing is working. Many of you related to that because that's an everyday situation. What do you do in general when nothing is working? You keep trying. So I wanted to say that this chapter was very important. I am going to get into 23 today, no doubt about it. That'll be letting go. That's a big one. But I really feel as if I am truly talking to you. I think that's what's so amazing is I look and you're there and you care and you're so real. I'm just going to read it today because I feel it's very important as we're getting down toward the end. And though it won't be somber and sad, it's going to be somber and sad. And I need you all to understand that we're talking about a love story that should be made into a series. Definitely on Hulu or Amazon or somebody. This is a series. It's not a movie. But there's somebody out there that really desperately would love to see this happen, and they want it as much as I want it. But it will be the right person. And by speaking out here with all of you, I'm hitting right people. Many of you aren't thinking outside your box, but you have to. I've had several agents over the years, none of who produced anything. Crapshoot. But I do know that I have 3 godchildren out in LA who are in acting school, and they're brilliant. And their mother and I are very, very close with these children I raised literally for a while before they moved. So I said, well, since my other agents have done nothing, I think I'll put my godchildren in charge. So on the Contact Me page, you're going to see the Young brothers, Y-O-U-N-G brothers. That would be Hunter, 15, Colin, 13, and Bryce, 11. I don't know if anybody else has ever done that either, but I said that will give them incentive. It'll push them to be able to go out and approach more people that are in acting school. I've always been someone who believed that give kids when they can the most, because that's when they retain it. That's when they grow. That's when they really can do something with it. So my agents are all young boys, the Young brothers, perfectly capable of handling everything. We talk about what we want. We talk about what we can do. I told them about my readings. I said if I had all of you here, one of you, you'd be able to help me more with social media. But take the readings off my Facebook page. Take the readings off my website. Take my website and do what you want with it. I've given them literally carte blanche to find me somebody, and they will get a very good agent's fee. So I think that's encouraging for children. Don't underestimate the power of a child. They're little people. They're people. They're just smaller. So I thank you, Phyllis, for joining in. And that's how I look at it. They're just little people. They're people. Talk to them. That's why I had such a good relationship with these 3 boys when they were coming out of their mother. And when I was raising them for years while she worked, I taught them a lot. And they remember to this day about it. So they're my agents. We are going to finish 22, what to do when nothing is working. You're all going to go through that. Even in everyday life, whether it's a job or whether it's a person or whether it's this. What to do when nothing is working. It's called punt. Make a decision. All right, I'm going to back up a little bit to yesterday as usual. And we're talking about his condition. And remember, he's only got about 5 months left before he will pass. 5 weeks left before he will pass. Tissue. We're going into a little bit here with his blood cell count. Here, his white blood cell count was critically low, causing you to become highly susceptible to dozens of life-threatening infections. Your hemoglobin and red blood cell counts had been nearly destroyed by the disease and the medications, and you had to go into the hospital for a series of blood transfusions. You went in at 9 o'clock a.m., and when I brought you home at 4 p.m., you developed a case of hiccups that lasted for the 6 weeks. Nothing you tried would get rid of them. You were given protein injections 3 times a week and several other newly released antibiotics. You were doing Chinese herbs, juicing, acupuncture, ozone therapy, meditation, and megavitamin injections. We continued to believe that there would be something else for us to try. We do. People try. They'll never give up hope until the very, very end, and then hope is still what keeps them going. We were terrified because you were running out of options. There was a sense of urgency and panic setting in that we had not experienced before. This was the oppressing and overwhelming realization that you were going to die, and there wasn't a thing I could do about it, nor the doctors, nor anybody. He was going to pass, but you're still here as of this day. And I mean this day here in the book. Here we go. For 2 years, we put our faith in the power of our love and our trust in the expert medical behavior of our doctors. I think The Notebook, a sequel to that would have been this story. When she has Alzheimer's, they fought like crazy when they were younger and they couldn't get their act together, and they fought and they fought, and they said, that's what we do, we fight and we make up. I think The Notebook would be another way to capture this story brilliantly. Yes, we fought and we fought and we fought, but at the end, they both passed together, and that was a blessing. But it was just a whole story of how he would not give up on her. I would never have given up on him nor me, and he would never have given up on me. We read, for years we put our faith in the power of our love and our trust in the expert medical advice of our doctors, and they were good. We read dozens of books, magazines, and newspaper articles about experimental new treatments and unconventional therapies. They're going through that with COVID. Even though it's much better, you got monkeypox now to deal with. Go ahead with the monkeypox. Even sounds horrible. Poor monkeys to be nicknamed in that. That's so sad. What the monkeys do to get it. We watched videos and listened to tapes for hours in an attempt to learn more about AIDS. We thought maybe our doctors missed something, anything, and we could find it out ourselves. We would not allow each other to give up. We met up with a lot of roadblocks and had a few detours, but we were never at a dead end. We wanted to continue to hear the words like, quote, encouraging, end quote, and promising, quote, promising, end quote. We pleaded with the doctors to tell us anything they might make us that might make a difference. We appealed to everyone to please help us find one more thing that could save your life. We were desperate, but you had run out of time, and there wasn't anything left to try. Remember, this is in the early 1990s. Hi, Stephanie. This is in the early 1990s we're talking about, not today. Get your head out of today. We're talking about the early 90s. You didn't, here it is, but you find one more thing that could save your life. But you had run out of time and there wasn't anything left to do. You didn't want to give up, but your fight had been slowly and cruelly drained from you. You wanted to live, but you were too tired now. I wanted you to stay with me just a little longer, but I didn't want to see you suffer anymore. This was an excruciating time for both of us, because you had done everything possible to stay alive, and all the pleading, begging, crying, and praying in the world would not change the outcome. By July, all we had left was our hope for a miracle. Nothing would ever possibly compare to the empty feeling in our heart when we finally acknowledged it was over. You had some quality of life. You had some quality times with an abundance of hope, dozens of choices, and lots of plans for the future. You were able to manage the disease effectively for a while, and with the help of doctors and newest medications. Many times you responded favorably to these things, these drugs and procedures. You constantly experimented with conventional medical treatments as well as controversial alternative ones. We didn't deceive ourselves for one moment by thinking we had a guarantee that anything we did would work. We never expected to hear the words 100%. But what we needed to hear were the constant words of encouragement and reassurance that you had a chance and that there was another option. Eventually, though you did everything you could, you went from having many choices and options to having none at all. The long-term effects of your illness finally destroyed your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and the constant fears and frustrations created additional chaos and turmoil. Our hopes and dreams had finally given way to failure, frustration, and fear. We didn't want to give up, but we had to. We didn't want to give up, but we had to. So many of you are dealing with this. You didn't want to give up. You wanted your loved one there with you. But at some point, hi Wendy, at some point, that was it. Here we go. This illness was like the lottery. Your chances of losing were far greater than winning. We were playing Russian roulette with a gun that was fully loaded. Your instinct to survive and your desire for life kept us believing tomorrow would be better. Your courage, your strength and will to live gave me the energy and faith to fight till the end with you. You never gave up hope or lost your will to live. You were the bravest man I'd ever known. He was. He was. He was also in denial. I don't talk about denial a lot. Till the day Jeffrey passed, I don't personally think he accepted the AIDS or the denial that he wasn't still the perfect son, the perfect husband, the perfect doctor. I mean, I don't think he ever accepted it and said he came out of denial. He didn't. He was in denial his whole life about so many things. But that was the big one. Did he want to live? Yes. Did he have some quality of times during the illness? Yes. Did we have a tremendous life together for 25 years? Yes. But denial is a very big issue. Most people will deal with denial by putting it in their head, finding a place it fits, and not dealing with it for a very long time. Yeah. All right. Get ready for this one, kids. I'm not going to read too long today, but I have to get some of this. I only have 2 chapters left. Then I'll take a break, and we will start our hospice book. And you are going to learn so much more. Chapter 23. Quote, letting go. That's hard. Quote, for me, love was to sacrifice everything, end quote. Quote, for me, love was to sacrifice everything, end quote. Quote, there was a big difference between staying alive and being alive. How many people are being kept alive? You don't want to see that. You go to the hospital with something and they're keeping you alive. You go to a skilled facility or something and you don't want to not, but you can't because there is something about staying alive. But are you being alive? One of the statements was, Is the treatment worse than the disease? There comes a point when you can make a choice that I can't do this anymore. That's it. So there was a big difference between staying alive and being alive. Dear Jeff, the writing in my journal not only documents your illness, it has given me a reason to live. I have now completed my 6th journal. The 7th one begins with the words, quote, I know that your death is near, end quote. Please understand that I did the best I could, but I feel that it wasn't enough. I'm at the most frightening turning point in my life, and I'm not handling your illness well. Right. Every one of you on the other end of this has a pen, has a piece of paper. Right. Don't even think twice. Do you think when I was writing my journals I could even read them? I was writing so fast I couldn't even, when I had to transpose them, I had to think, what was I writing? I couldn't read it because it was so right. I know that your death is near. Please understand that I did the best I could, but I feel that wasn't enough. I'm at the most frightening turning point in my life, and I am not today handling your illness well. I am not sure of what decisions to make, what things will work, or whom I should trust. I am terribly sorry about the vicious fight we had the other day. Oh, we even fought through this. We even fought and had arguments when he was ill out of frustration. I felt terribly sorry about the vicious fight we had the other day. I completely lost it and have never felt this emotionally out of control. I stood before you screaming, quote, you killed yourself. I gave you my heart, my image, my life. I was your cover. You looked straight when we were together. Yeah, he did. We were the perfect couple. No one knew. No one knew for 25 years, 23 years, what was going on. Nobody could ever have AIDS and be sick when he had a wife that was, glamorous and beautiful, and we looked so good together. You killed yourself. I gave you my heart, my image, my life. I was your cover. You looked straight when we were together. You did. Let me get this page right. You took from me, you took from everyone, and now you are suffering the consequences, end quote. As I ripped up the thousands of dollars of drug receipts and threw them over the balcony into the bushes, I was yelling hysterically, quote, here is your AIDS scattered all over the yard, just like you had torn apart my life into meaningless shreds, end quote. You crawled back into bed and quietly said, quote, Susan, you need help. You are not coping with this, and you are no good for me. It is only going to get worse. That was a part of it. There was nothing will, I think, stress out people more than a big illness or finances. And I mean, what's going on in the world doesn't have to stress anybody out. But if you're going through a long-term illness with someone you love and you're watching them go through it, you can't tell me that you're always going to be all right. You're not. It's a lie. You're deceiving yourself. But I took a lot of my anger out on him. They said I was yelling hysterically, quote, here is your AIDS scattered all over the yard, just like you have torn apart my life into meaningless shreds, end quote. You crawled back into bed and quietly said, quote, Susan, you need help. You are not coping with this, and you are no good for me. It is only going to get worse. Let's do a little more. You woke up later that evening coughing violently because the pneumonia had returned again. That's 4. I could barely understand your whispered words as you said, quote, please forgive me. I love you so, but I don't know how to handle this either. I am afraid, end quote. A long-term illness, whether you have kids, whether you have grandchildren, whether you have aunts and uncles and an entourage around you, it's between a man and a woman. It's a husband and a wife. It's, you will have moments that you'll fly off the handle, and you will hate it because you know the person is not that person. This disease took over my husband. He wasn't my husband any longer. He was someone who was, he was my husband, but the disease took him away a long time ago. That was hard for me to deal with. You woke up later that evening coughing violently because the pneumonia had returned again. I could barely understand your whispered words as you said, quote, please forgive me. I love you so, but I don't know how to handle this either. I am afraid, end quote. We held each other as if it was for the last time. We felt closer at that moment than we had in 2 years. We both knew why this argument happened. The horrifying end was in sight, and letting go was going to be the most difficult thing we would ever have to do. You were so frail. Here we go. Every day, the horrifying end was in sight, and letting go was going to be the most difficult thing we would ever have to do. Every day I watched your withered body continue to waste away. I felt your anguish as you were slowly letting go of your life. You are so very frail and frightened. You are slipping away before my eyes, and I cannot do anything about it. I am tired of hoping, caring, giving, and being in pain. I am angry and fearful, but I feel still that helpless and hopeless. I couldn't do anything else. My feelings of failure and defeat only intensify the rage and frustration I am experiencing now. I do not want to think, speak, or feel. I want to forget. One more little paragraph. This we got a lot in 22 before we go to a lot in 23. Letting go before we go to 24. How many times, have you all been through this with stuff? You have. Don't deny this. How many times have I wished I could die along with you, aka The Notebook? If you haven't seen it, you don't know what a good love story is. See The Notebook. This is The Notebook on steroids. So many times I wished I could die along with you. I am begging for a sign telling me that one day I will be all right again. I need something to give me the strength and courage to continue on. Though I write the words, quote, letting go down on paper, I do not feel this way in my heart. I can tell myself I must let you go, but I do not believe the words I say. How do I let go of a man that I've loved since I was 11 years old? How do I let go of the man I have loved since I was 11 years old? And how do I tell my heart to say goodbye forever? We'll stop here and continue tomorrow. You're all going through something, not one of you. I don't care if it's parents. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's a child. I don't care if it's monkeypox right now. You're going through something. And this book is going to be your lifeline to being able to write it down and handle it better. I stress the writing. I will stress my website, and I will stress my YouTube channel because I have so much information on there. I will stress getting my book because even though I read it, and I will be rereading it again at some point to possibly new people, because I'm going to expound on that type of stuff. I'm going to expound and elaborate and go in depth into this. And I'm going to ask you questions. How would you be handling something like this? What do you do? How did you do it when you found out? I'm going to start asking you a lot of questions after this that you're going to either want to answer or you're not. You're going to either think and feel or you're not. I'm going to ask you questions that no one else may ask you. Not your family, not your friends. How are you dealing with the crisis now in your life? What are you doing to get through? Are you helping others through it by volunteering? How are you handling this type of a situation in your life? If you can answer that and go forward and put it on paper or get it out of your head, it will make a lot more sense. And I write in the third party. Remember, I told you, Susan and Jeff didn't exist. All my journals, I have 15 journals. I didn't know why the 7th was that. I probably wrote when I went up to the folks and was writing about them and everything. So there's still 15 journals. But that's what I want you to do, is ask yourself, how could I handle this? How? That's it. I am very pleased with today's writing. I'm very mellow. I'm very aware that July 17th, August 17th, 1994 is approaching. I'm also aware that June 19th is approaching with his diagnosis. My big issue has always been that the summers were our greatest time. We always went away. We always went to beaches. We always had so much fun in the summer going to the beach. I can't go to the beach. Not because I don't like the sand anymore, which I don't. I think the beaches should be paved. But it's hard. The summers are hard. And enjoy them. But God, thank you. I thank all of you so much. May God bless you. I shall say shalom, hello. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you all. And shalom, goodbye. Shalom, peace. Have some peace. If any of you are following the elections, they could be the dirtiest ones right now on TV. Don't watch them. But anyway, just be kind. Have a little more patience. Call someone and tell them you care. That's all. A simple phone call that says, I care. I shall see you tomorrow night at 5:30, and we shall continue. God bless you all.